Okay, dear friends, good evening. How are you? I think you are fine. And okay, we have already started a topic study. आप लोग जानते हैं कि कल हमने एक टॉपिक स्टार्ट किया है और वो टॉपिक है इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन. My friends, we have just moved to the topic number, part number 3rd. Actually, the basic foundation of our study is what? Basic foundation is integrated approach. You are not going to discuss the topic alone. You have to develop an integrated approach among different topics. That is the beauty of preparation of social science, you can say, not simply history. तो हम लोग कोई अकेला टॉपिक को नहीं पढ़ रहे हैं. यही सबसे बड़ी विशेषता है हमारे इस टॉपिक की कि हम किसी एक अकेला टॉपिक को नहीं पढ़ रहे हैं. और तो actually here I am just giving you the information कि whenever I have to start this topic, you know, so from where to start, you know, but before that I have to ask one question. Possibly yesterday I have given some homework to them.
Yes.
Are they giving the hint?
Yes, sir.
Which one question? Yes. Do you take Otto von Bismarck as the sole factor behind the unification of Germany? Give argument in favor of your view. Actually, have you dealt with this question?
Yes, sir, they tried.
They tried this question.
Yes.
Okay. Do they need my help? आपको मेरा हेल्प भी चाहिए और आर यू ओके? First of all, try to find out whether the question is hypothetical or argumentative. Please give reply to my question. Whether the question is hypothetical or argumentative. Be fast. Hypothetical. Do you take Otto von Bismarck as the sole factor behind the unification of Germany? Give argument in favor of your view. My friends, here your response is a bit shocking to me. How?
Not argumentative.
Actually, mark of interrogation. Question is behind the, you can say just in the end of the question is the mark of interrogation. Question के अंत में प्रश्नवाचक चिन्ह है. That is indicative of the fact that the question is argumentative. And apart from that, you find the additional term like give argument in favor of your view. Give argument in favor of your view. Here you find here the term. मतलब कि ये जो टर्म है इसमें आप इस विचार के पक्ष में क्या बोलते हैं, क्या लिखते हैं, ये that also matters, you know. So now you people have to start the question, and the question is argumentative. So how to start the question? Here I am giving you the clue. Answer. If someone is going to ask you the question, was unification of Germany the product only of the Bismarckian political and diplomatic efforts or the military diplomatic efforts? If someone is going to ask you the question, was the unification of Germany product of merely Bismarckian military and diplomatic efforts? Yes or no? Or even other factor is accountable? Tell me. आपसे अगर क्वेश्चन पूछा जाता है कि क्या जर्मनी के एकीकरण के लिए केवल बिस्मार्क का सैनिक कूटनीतिक कारक उत्तरदायी था, तो आप क्या कहेंगे? केवल सैनिक कूटनीतिक कारक, पॉलिटिकल डिप्लोमेटिक military diplomatic factor or some other factors as well?
Other factors are also responsible.
Which are other factors? Which are other factors?
Industrialization.
Industrial, economic industrial factor and ideological factor. At least the industrialization and ideology. You can cite the example. So you can start the question. Unification of Germany. Unification of Germany. Germany was the product of a complex process. Military diplomatic factor of Bismarck definitely played an important role, or even you can write a decisive role, played a decisive role, but the role of other factors cannot be undermined, or you can say, but even the role of other factors cannot be undermined. Even the role of other factors cannot be undermined. My students, here the thesis is, I just started. Now we'll talk about the fact that, in fact, Otto von Bismarck, through a proper mix of the military diplomatic factor, could pursue his goal. He could isolate Austria in European politics, and he purchased the neutrality of France, and then in the Battle of Sadowa, he could defeat, or the Prussia could defeat Austrian Empire, that led to the integration of northern German states with Prussia, with a change of paragraph. Not simply that, in the Battle of Sedan, or he even provoked a war against France, and finally in the Battle of Sedan, while routing the France, Bismarck could complete the process of unification through integrating the southern German states as well. That's all, with a change of paragraph. But we cannot deny the fact that the basic foundation was prepared by ideological cultural factors. German thinkers or German philosophers prepared the ideological basis, and it was the Industrial Revolution that created a strong material and economic basis for this unification. So credit should be given to other factors as well. Your conclusion is over. This should be the way of writing. Please give information to Mr. Ankur. Are you clear, or do you need any further help? प्लीज आप थोड़ा सा इंफॉर्मेशन दीजिए अंकुर को कि आप क्लियर हैं या और कुछ हेल्प चाहिए.
Sir, Rahul कह रहे हैं कि my intro little bit same and all three factors are in my answer but changed in order.
No problem at all. Who?
Rahul.
Rahul, very good answer you have written. Order can change. You should not be, your answer should not be carbon copy of mine. No, you are independent to write. Simply, what should be the method of writing? This question is argumentative question. The mood of the question is you should not give the sole credit to Otto von Bismarck, but it is true that Bismarck played a significant role. अब suppose you can say that they might have given a hypothetical question to underline the role of Bismarck in the unification of Germany, then we should concentrate over the role of Bismarck only. Then maximum we can do, if the German unification, for German unification, even other factors like the ideologically cultural factor and economic industrial factor also played some role, but also played the role. But it is true, decisive factor was, you can say the decisive role was played by Otto von Bismarck, and there was a Georgian knot in the way of unification which cannot be, you can say, untied, but simply cut through the sword. खैर ये कॉम्प्लेक्स हो जाता है, इसको आप अवॉइड भी कर सकते हो इस सेंटेंस को. आप सिर्फ ये लिख सकते हो कि थ्रू डिप्लोमेटिक मिलिट्री फैक्टर ही कुड परस्यू हिज ऑब्जेक्टिव, एंड देन यू कैन मेंशन अबाउट द बैटल ऑफ सैडोवा, बैटल ऑफ सेडान एटसेट्रा, एंड गिव द कंक्लूजन. तो अगर हाइपोथेटिकल रहता तो उसका मूड दूसरा होता, अगर आर्गुमेंटेटिव है तो उसका मूड दूसरा है. बस आप केवल इसी तरीके को फॉलो करो, और हियर यू कैन से इवन द डायग्राम कुड वर्क. लेकिन अब जीएस के पेपर में आपको डायग्राम का और पॉइंट बना लो. कोशिश करो कि योर आंसर शुड बी क्लियरली विजिबल, सो यू कैन मेक द पॉइंट्स एज वेल. सो दिस इज द पॉइंट हियर, यू नो. एंड
बाकी तो सब बच्चे क्लियर है.
या
बाकी इन्होंने क्लियर लिखा है. क्लियर सर.
क्लियर. ओके ओके, थैंक यू वेरी मच.
एक दो क्वेरी है सर.
हाँ, यस.
आयुष पूछ रहे हैं सर कि ऑन गूगल it says that Ottoman Empire disintegration started in 20th century.
Ayush, in 20th century, in fact, Google is not giving the sometime the cohesive information. Now you can very well understand that the process of disintegration started in 19th century itself. So far the question of 20th century is concerned, so in 20th century, in 1911, Italy, you can say, snatched Libya, you know. So Libya was snatched by Italy from Ottoman Empire in 1911 or 1912, 11-12. And then in Balkan War, Ottoman Empire was invaded by the 4 Balkan countries in 1912-13. And finally, in First World War, Ottoman Empire was defeated. So in Paris Peace Conference, or in course of the First World War itself, you can say, Arab region was the part of the same Ottoman Empire. But the British, I will just inform you whenever I will teach you Paris Peace Conference after the First World War, if the British consciously provoked the Arabian, you can say, elites to rise in revolt against Ottoman Empire, because Ottoman Empire was in the enemy camp, you know. So Britain provoked this revolt against Ottoman Empire and send its army to give support to this Arab revolt, and finally you can say practically the Arab region became free from Ottoman Empire, which in Paris Peace Conference the Britain and France divided them between themselves. So in this way, you know, in 20th century, whatever loss it has mentioned, so that is simply this Arabian region and Tripoli. But most of the regions were separated in 19th century itself. Go through date by date. I have given you the dates. Romania in 1859, Serbia and Montenegro in 1878, Greece in 1832, Romania in 1859, Bulgaria in 1885, and Albania in 1913. So in 20th century is Albania, and Tripoli means ki Libya, that was called Tripoli at that time in 1911-12, and Arabian region in 19. So the process was already going on in 19th century. Yesterday, some of my students, Mr. Ankur, you have not reminded me. Yeah. What?
Young
Young Turk movement. have anybody repeated this question?
Yes, sir.
Who?
Karim Ansari.
Karim Ansari. This Young Turk movement. Actually, what is the question? I am just making you. I have told you Karim Ansari in Hindi or English. Okay, no problem. I'm just, I'll use both the languages so all students should be clear. In fact, I have told you कि in East European, what is known as the Balkan region, the East European region. So that was the part of Ottoman Empire, but this region was peopled by the Christian population, Christian minority groups. You like Slav, like Czech, Magyars, Czech, and you can say Ruthenes, Greeks, etc. Alban, Balgan. So these were the Balkan regions. They were the Christian population. So gradually, this Christian population was making revolt, and Christian minority groups, you can say, different racial groups were making a revolt against linguistic and racial group, were making a revolt against Ottoman Empire. And due to the intervention of European powers or Western powers, one by one they were getting freedom. So in Turkey, you know, a reaction set in. A reaction set in, and there was a rise of some young leaders who were known as the Young Turks. And they were quite furious at the behavior of the different Christian minorities in East European countries, as well as the behavior or the treatment meted to Ottoman Empire by European powers. So these, you can say, young chaps, the young leaders who emerged, so they captured the power. They captured the power and they started to, you can say, formulate the new policy for this Ottoman Empire. So they were known as Young Turks. And what were their policies? What was the basis of their policy? So Young Turks came to decide that actually the Ottoman Empire is disintegrating or breaking to pieces due to the reaction from the different minority groups. So only panacea is, the only solution is, in order to counter the minority nationalism, the Young Turks should have, you can say, encouraged Turkish nationalism to suppress the minority nationalism. So for countering the minority nationalism, the Young Turks try to, you can say, propagate the majority nationalism, because the Turkish people were the majority. So majoritarian politics they promoted, and majoritarian nationalism. So Young Turks once promoted the you can say majoritarian this nationalism, that is called the Turkish nationalism. So it proved counterproductive, and it created a backlash among different minority groups, and you can say different regions, like you can say Balgan, the Bulgaria, Greece, Romania, Serbia, all combined together, the Balkan states invaded on Turkey. And that resulted into a Balkan War in 1912-13. And as the Young Turks were giving emphasis over, or talking in terms of, you can say, regeneration of Ottoman Empire, or reinvigoration of the Ottoman Empire, so the Western powers were a bit apprehensive that now the Ottoman Empire would be powerful, so we could not take further concession from Ottoman Empire. So under this apprehension, Italy captured Tripoli and tried to snatch Tripoli from Ottoman Empire. So some critic has rightly quipped that the Young Turks started a wind of nationalism, but as a counter they had to face the whirlpool of nationalisms. मतलब हुआ ऐसा कि बात दांव उल्टी पड़ गई. इसीलिए मैं कहता हूं कि हिस्ट्री से सभी लोगों को एक लेसन लेना चाहिए. हिस्ट्री क्या होता है? फुल ऑफ लेसन होता है. जैसे जब हम या कोई भी अगर हिंदू मेजोरिटेरियनिज्म की बात करता है तो दे हैड टू टेक लेसन फ्रॉम द यंग टर्क्स. तो मेजोरिटी कम्युनिटी होती है, उसको इस तरह की जो नेशनलिज्म का कार्ड खेलने की अनुमति, मतलब नेशनलिज्म का मतलब हुआ कि उसको अपना आइडेंटिटी पॉलिटिक्स मतलब उसके लिए ऑप्शन नहीं होता है। ऑप्शन हमेशा माइनॉरिटी का ये काम होता है, लेकिन मेजोरिटी का काम होता है कि वो सभी को लेकर चले। और अगर मेजोरिटी आइडेंटिटी पॉलिटिक्स का खेल खेलता है तो वो और काउंटर प्रोडक्टिव हो जाता है। तो ये यंग टर्क्स मूवमेंट है, यंग टर्क्स मूवमेंट ने यही सिद्ध कर दिया कि भाई वहां पर जो टर्किश नेशनलिज्म है, टर्की नेशनलिज्म ने मेजोरिटेरियनिज्म का जो गेम खेला, तो उसका और भी जो डिफरेंट माइनॉरिटी ग्रुप्स थे, वो माइनॉरिटी ग्रुप्स और भी भयभीत हो गए, और भी फियरफुल वरीड हो गए कि यार ये तो मेजोरिटी नेशनलिज्म की बात कर रहा है, तो हम लोग अपने अपने नेशनलिज्म को बचाई तो दबाने की कोशिश कर रहा है। तो जितने भी माइनॉरिटी स्टेट्स जो क्रिएट हुए थे ऑलरेडी, जैसे बुल्गारिया, ऐसा तो पहले ही बन चुका था, आपको याद है, ये मैं बता रहा हूं आपको, उन्होंने यंग टर्क मूवमेंट 1908 में चला है, इन द बिगिनिंग ऑफ 20th सेंचुरी। और ये बाकी स्टेट्स तुमने देखा कि रोमानिया बन चुका, ग्रीस बन चुका 1832 में, रोमानिया 1859 में, सर्बिया मॉन्टेनिग्रो को बर्लिन कांग्रेस ने उसको रिकॉग्नाइज कर दिया 1878 में, 1885 में बुल्गारिया बन गया। और तो इतने स्टेट्स तो पहले ही आ चुके। तो ये स्टेट्स ने, इसमें से 4 स्टेट्स ने मिलकर ऑटोमन एम्पायर पर हमला कर दिया और बहुत अगली सीन क्रिएट हो गया बाल्कन वॉर के रूप में। तो इसी पर किसी क्रिटिक ने कहा कि यंग तुर्कों ने राष्ट्रवाद की हवा चलाई और बदले में उन्हें राष्ट्रवाद के तूफान का सामना करना पड़ा। तो यही उसका कोटेशन आता है यंग टर्क्स का। माय स्टूडेंट्स, आप लोग दोनों लैंग्वेज इंग्लिश वाले भी समझ गए होगी, मेरा विश्वास है। तो इसलिए कभी भी मेजोरिटेरियनिज्म का कार्ड खेलना कभी भी हिस्ट्री में एडवाइजेबल नहीं माना जाता है। यंग टर्क्स की जो घटना है वो लेशन है। हिस्ट्री में देखो फुल ऑफ हमारे पास लेशन होता है। इसलिए मैं कहता हूं कि अगर आप लोग थिंकिंग क्रिएचर बन जाओगे तो फिर आप बहुत सारी चीजें लाइफ का, बहुत सारी चीजें कैरियर का, नेशन का, हर जगह यू कैन cite the example from history. So, my students, Mr. Ankur, should I go further now?
Question is, sir, Artika, ki, sir, why industrial revolution first started in Europe?
Yeah.
Why?
Artika.
Arti.
Arti.
Yes. Arti. Why industrial revolution?
Arti, let me allow to move for industrial revolution first. So far, I have not entered into the topic. अब Arti, if you are a thinking creature, which I hope you to be, so ask this question. You have asked me the question. You have not asked me the question कि why did industrial revolution occur in Britain first. You have asked me the question कि why did industrial revolution occur in Europe first. Your question is, so have you not realized from 15th and 16th century, European continent has taken the separate path. It started to exploit the resources of the other continents from 15th and 16th century, colonization of the world, resources, Renaissance Reformation, commercial revolution, mercantilism, enlightenment. So many factors are working and the other continents are lagging behind Europe. So if Arti, if you are curious to know that, why did Europe overtook other continents, so you are having enough examples to prove why did Europe overtake other continents. Okay, so now you people have to move to part 3rd. Part 3rd you are moving now. Okay, अब here you can see so many topics are there. Okay. Part 3rd. Here the point is industrial revolution. All the topics are linked to each other. I have just given the first topic. You have to cover industrial revolution. In this topic, you have to move vertically, you know. Why did you have to move vertically? You have to move vertically for the fact, because you know, the industrial revolution had to start from Britain and it had to spread to the different parts of Europe. मतलब औद्योगिक क्रांति पहले ब्रिटेन में स्टार्ट होगी और फिर अदर रीजन्स में स्प्रेड करेगी यूरोप में, और उसके अलावा यूरोप से बाहर पहला कंट्री जहां आप इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन को मैनिफेस्ट करोगे वो होगा जापान। लेकिन चलिए हम आपको वो बाद में बताएंगे। लेकिन वंस द इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन अकर्स, so it creates the problem of what? That is, create the problem of market, because you need raw materials to provide to your industries and you are searching the market for absorbing the manufactured goods. So that will automatically lead to the search of market. So that will definitely lead to, imperialism. Imperialism means कि you have to search new colonies to get your manufactured products absorbed. So that will lead to imperialism and partition of Asia and Africa, Likewise, you can say industrial revolution give birth to an industrial working class that is the quite powerful. Industrial working class. So this industrial working class would get a very fiery leader, and this fiery leader is, you can say, extreme socialism or Marxism, you can say Karl Marx. Extreme socialism or Marxism. Socialism was already there, and with industrial revolution socialism started, but even socialism just, you can say, change its complexion. मतलब जब औद्योगिक क्रांति होगी तो उसके बाद एक औद्योगिक मजदूर वर्ग आएगा जिसको कार्ल मार्क्स कहेगा सर्वहारा, प्रोलेटेरिएट। तो ये जो क्लास होगा, ये क्लास को कार्ल मार्क्स जैसा एक लीडर मिलेगा, और तब यह जो होगा मार्क्सिज्म आएगा, मार्क्सिज्म आइडियोलॉजी। अब जो मैंने पीछे आपको 19वीं सेंचुरी तक पार्ट 2 छोड़ा था, वहां से निकलेगा नेशनलिज्म। तो नेशनलिज्म तो पहले देखो, अब नेशनलिज्म ने भी बहुत सारा कॉम्प्लेक्शन बदला है, लेकिन आप लोग थोड़ा सा मेंटली अलर्ट होकर अगर इंटीग्रेट नहीं करोगे एंड यू विल जस्ट नॉट फॉलो मी, देन देयर विल बी डिफिकल्टी। तब फिर आप मजा नहीं, मतलब यू विल नॉट एंजॉय द सोशल साइंस इन ट्रू सेंस। सोशल साइंस बहुत एंजॉयबल है, लेकिन उसको पढ़ने का एक तरीका होना चाहिए कि हाउ टू रीड द सोशल साइंस, तो अगर वो तरीका आप सीख लेते हो तो बहुत फर्क आ जाएगा। उसके बाद आप कोई भी लाइफ का कहीं भी प्रश्न है, कहीं भी आप जीवन के किसी उलझन में नहीं फंस सकते अगर सोशल साइंस की वास्तविक समझ आपको हो गई तो। एंड अपार्ट फ्रॉम गेटिंग सिलेक्टेड, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल यू विल एंजॉय स्टडी। नहीं तो पूरा का पूरा जो स्टडी है वो बड़ा टॉर्चरस हो जाता है। ये पूरी यात्रा बहुत लंबी है और ये लंबी यात्रा काफी टॉर्चरस हो जाती है, तो इसीलिए उसको ध्यान करना पड़ता है। तो इसमें जो इंडस्ट्रियल वर्किंग क्लास है, मार्क्सिज्म का जो एडवेंट हुआ, तो मार्क्सिज्म, अच्छा इधर नेशनलिज्म पहले आ चुका था, तो नेशनलिज्म पहले आया लिबरेटिंग फोर्स, मिडिल क्लास आइडियोलॉजी के रूप में। आगे जब इटली और जर्मनी का यूनिफिकेशन हुआ तो नेशनलिज्म बन गया एग्रेसिव फोर्स। वो एक तरफ और इंपीरियलिज्म का बढ़ावा देने लगा। क्यों? क्योंकि अब जो सारे नेशन है उनमें एक सेंस ऑफ नेशनल ग्लोरी आ गई। जैसे पहले के राजे महाराजे के बारे में आप लोग सुना कि जब वो लोग एलिफेंट पालते थे, जिस जमींदार के पास जितने एलिफेंट होते थे उतने बड़े जमींदार माने जाते थे। अब जिस कंट्री के पास जितना कॉलोनीज होगा उतना ग्रेट कंट्री माना जाएगा। अब देखो ब्रिटिश लोग रात में अपना अम्ब्रेला उठाएंगे, अपना अम्ब्रेला लेकर, मतलब रात में ही विल जस्ट स्ट्रेच आउट द अम्ब्रेला इन द मिडनाइट एंड वेरी बोस्टफुली दे विल मेक अ क्लेम कि देयर इज नो सनसेट इन आवर एम्पायर। हमारे राज्य में कभी सूर्यास्त नहीं होता। तो जर्मन लोग भी जब इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन में जर्मन लोग चैलेंज करेंगे ब्रिटिश को, तो बाद में जर्मन लोग नारा देंगे, वी ऑल्सो वांट द लैंड अंडर द सन। हमको भी सूर्य के नीचे जमीन चाहिए। आप अकेला दबा के बैठे हुए हो। और तब जर्मनी जो ब्रिटेन को चैलेंज करेगा नई कॉलोनीज के लिए, फर्स्ट वर्ल्ड वॉर की तरफ जाएगा। तो नेशनलिज्म है वो इंपीरियलिज्म को भी बढ़ावा देगा। इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन मार्केट एक्सपेंशन का डिमांड करेगा, उससे इंपीरियलिज्म को बढ़ावा मिलेगा। तो उधर से नेशनलिज्म भी इंपीरियलिज्म को बढ़ावा दे रहा, और सर्च फॉर मार्केट भी इंपीरियलिज्म को बढ़ावा दे रहा। उधर मार्क्सिज्म आएगा तो मार्क्सिज्म कहेगा वर्कर्स ऑफ द वर्ल्ड यूनाइट, दुनिया के मजदूरों एक हो। वो इंटरनेशनलिज्म की बात करेगा। तो मार्क्सियन इंटरनेशनलिज्म को काउंटर करने के लिए आपको पता है क्या होगा? इंटरनेशनलिज्म को कौन काउंटर करेगा? नेशनलिज्म। और नेशनलिज्म मिडिल क्लास आइडियोलॉजी है। उधर से जिस समय मार्क्सिज्म आएगा, कहेगा वर्कर्स ऑफ द वर्ल्ड यूनाइट, तो नेशनलिज्म के माध्यम से मिडिल क्लास काउंटर करेगा, बोलेगा नो वर्कर्स, यू आर फर्स्ट फ्रेंच, जस्ट सी फ्रेंच फ्लैग, जस्ट sing, French anthem, national anthem, and see the flags, French flag or British flag. You are the British first, you are the French first. So they will just try to counter this Marxism through nationalism, and it was in promoting nationalism they were giving emphasis over imperialism as well. So gradually you can say all the factors had to culminate into the First World War. तो जब तुम फर्स्ट वर्ल्ड वॉर पर जाओगे तो मैं एक डायग्राम बनाऊंगा और सभी को लिंक कर दूंगा, पार्ट 2 को और पार्ट 3 को। तब आप देखोगे कि फर्स्ट वर्ल्ड वॉर कोई सडन इवेंट नहीं था। वो यूरोपियन सिविलाइजेशन जिस दिशा में बढ़ रहा था उसमें यह वॉर एक मेजर यूरोपियन वॉर होना ही था, जिसको बड़ी चालाकी से उन्होंने वर्ल्ड वॉर नाम दे दिया। अब ये वर्ल्ड वॉर, फर्स्ट वर्ल्ड वॉर और सेकेंड वर्ल्ड वॉर में हम लोग तो बेकार पार्टी बन गए। हम लोगों को तो उसे कोई लेना देना नहीं था, उनका यूरोपियन क्वेश्चन था। हम लोग कॉलोनीज थे। पहले जब मालिक लड़ते थे तो नौकर को भी लड़वा देते थे। तो वही बात हुई, जब वो लोग आपस में लड़े तो हम लोगों को भी लड़वाए कि तुम लोग भी चलो हमारे साथ, क्योंकि अब मालिक लड़ रहे हैं तो हम लोग भी लड़ गए। लेकिन हम लोगों का उसका लड़ने का कोई प्रयोजन नहीं था, उस वॉर से हम लोगों का कोई मतलब नहीं था। तो पूरी पार्ट 3 करेंगे तो फिर इंटीग्रेट करेंगे, देन यू विल एंजॉय द टॉपिक। ओके, तो अब आते हैं इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन 1 by 1। ये दिस इज द ऑल द टॉपिक्स आर लिंक्ड टू ईच अदर। सो इन दिस पेज you are given the information here, all the topics are linked. Then even this page you might have gone through. अब what is meant by industrial revolution? तो अब पहले meant by industrial revolution, अब this term has been coined by certain French socialist, earlier the French socialist, but basically this term was widely covered by or widely coined or widely used by a British thinker, British historian, a very famous historian who just died at the young age. His name was Arnold Toynbee. Used that term in revolution, industrial revolution. So it does not mean that industrial revolution does not mean that the change is what change that has taken place is the very sudden change. No, this change has taken place in a long time. Starting from 1762, actually the changes were visible. मतलब in 60 to 80 years, the changes were going on. For an event qualifying as a revolution, there should be some element of immediacy. There should be some element of immediacy in order to anything to become a revolution. But here in this case, you will come to know, in this case, revolution, the term revolution was used because there was the wider impact on society. So that's why you find out the term revolution. And this so-called industrial revolution implied certain things. First, productive investment. There should be investment in productive investment. That technological change, because the wider technological change, without technological change, it cannot happen. And then, technological change, the rise of new production centers and the transformation in the social structure. All the factors are related to the revolution, And the socio-economic transformation of Britain and Europe in the second half of the 18th century lay in the changes that had occurred in Europe over the previous 3 to 4 centuries. मतलब ऐसा नहीं है कि अचानक से इंडस्ट्रियल रिवॉल्यूशन हो गया। ये जो अभी जो पूरे पहले तो ब्रिटेन में हुआ, फिर यूरोप में हुआ, तो ब्रिटेन और यूरोप में जो सारे परिवर्तन हो रहे हैं, उन सारे परिवर्तनों की जड़ कहां है पता है आपको? इन सारे परिवर्तनों की जड़ है पिछले 3rd to 4th century. मतलब the changes were lying in the, you can say, the revolution or the so-called industrial revolution occurred due to the changes which had ensued since the last 3 to 4 centuries. So they were lying in the history at that time. Now here to find the term transformation in Europe during last 3 centuries. Decline of feudalism, okay, Renaissance, Protestant movement, Enlightenment, Napoleonic War, okay. Here you find the term like decline of feudalism. All the factors here you are informed. Whenever you will go through the diagram, you people might have gone through the diagram. If I make the same diagram, it will take too much space, so that's why I cannot take this diagram. Here I am simply giving the information, just a decline of feudalism, okay. तो डिक्लाइन ऑफ फ्यूडलिज्म, विदाउट डिक्लाइन ऑफ फ्यूडलिज्म एग्रेरियन रिफॉर्म्स वर नॉट पॉसिबल. अगर जब तक सामंतवाद का पतन नहीं होता, कृषि के क्षेत्र में सुधार संभव नहीं होता. और हियर यू कैन से अवेलेबिलिटी ऑफ फूड ग्रेन्स. तो जब एग्रेरियन रिफॉर्म्स होगा तो अवेलेबिलिटी ऑफ फूड ग्रेन्स, मतलब there would be the proper availability of the agrarian products, you know, and that will lead to growth in population. तो ये सभी एक दूसरे से लिंक्ड है. डिक्लाइन ऑफ फ्यूडलिज्म से एग्रेरियन रिफॉर्म्स लिंक्ड है. एग्रेरियन रिफॉर्म्स का 2 इंपैक्ट होगा. एक तो फूड्स की अवेलेबिलिटी बढ़ेगी, तो उससे क्या होगा, पॉपुलेशन. देखो उस समय का टाइम क्या था कि जितना फूड अवेलेबल हो उतना ही पॉपुलेशन के ग्रोथ की संभावना होती थी, पॉसिबिलिटी. सो देयर इज द बेटर अवेलेबिलिटी ऑफ फूड, सो दैट विल लीड टू द ग्रोथ इन पॉपुलेशन. लाइकवाइज जब आपका जो एग्रेरियन प्रोडक्ट्स है उसका जो एक पार्ट है वो रॉ मेटेरियल्स बनता है, तो इससे रॉ मेटेरियल्स को भी प्रोडक्ट मिल रहा है फायदा. नेक्स्ट वन देख रहे हो रेनेशा. अब तो डिक्लाइन ऑफ फ्यूडलिज्म से आपका एग्रेरियन रिफॉर्म्स हुआ, उससे रॉ मेटेरियल्स और फूड्स की अवेलेबिलिटी बढ़ी. और दूसरा हुआ रेनेशा. रेनेशा से 17th सेंचुरी में साइंटिफिक रेवोल्यूशन हुआ, बिकॉज रेनेशा के बिना तो साइंटिफिक रेवोल्यूशन हो ही नहीं सकता था. आर यू क्लियर? और उसके आगे टेक्नोलॉजिकल, जिस समय साइंटिफिक रेवोल्यूशन हुआ तो फिर टेक्नोलॉजिकल अपग्रेडेशन हुआ और फिर डेवलपमेंट ऑफ मॉडर्न फैक्ट्री सिस्टम, क्योंकि आपका इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन मॉडर्न फैक्ट्री सिस्टम के बिना नहीं हो सकता था, और जो साइंटिफिक रेवोल्यूशन के बिना टेक्नोलॉजिकल अपग्रेडेशन नहीं हो सकता था. और प्रोटेस्टेंट मूवमेंट से देखो क्या फायदा हुआ, इनकरेजमेंट टू कैपिटलिज्म. क्योंकि मैंने आपको याद है कि प्रोटेस्टेंट मूवमेंट में मैंने आई हैव कोटेड देयर मैक्स वेबर कि प्रोटेस्टेंट एथिक्स एंड द स्पिरिट ऑफ कैपिटलिज्म. मैक्स वेबर ट्राइड टू प्रूव दैट कि the root of capitalism in Europe was lying in Protestant religion. मतलब he tried to believe that कि it was the Protestant ethics which encouraged capitalism in Europe. तो कहीं ना कहीं प्रोटेस्टेंट मूवमेंट को आप कैपिटलिज्म के राइज से लिंक कर सकते. इनलाइटेनमेंट प्रमोशन ऑफ कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ फ्री इकोनॉमी, कोई लेसेज फेयर का कॉन्सेप्ट आया. इनलाइटेनमेंट एडम स्मिथ, यू नो, सो दैट इज गोइंग टू इनकरेज इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन लेटर. विदाउट लेसेज फेयर, जब तक इकोनॉमी कंट्रोल्ड होती इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन नहीं हो सकता था. तो फ्री इकोनॉमी का कॉन्सेप्ट ने इसको हेल्प किया. नेपोलियनिक वॉर, कहोगे भाई ये तो डिवास्टेटिंग है, लेकिन डिवास्टेटिंग है, इससे थोड़ा फायदा हुआ. नेपोलियन ब्रॉट न्यू डायनामिज्म इन यूरोप बाय अबॉलिशिंग द ओल्ड इंस्टीट्यूशंस इन मिड्स ऑफ फ्रेंच एक्सपेंशन. जैसे वो फ्रांस जब एक्सपैंड कर रहा था, तो वेर एवर नेपोलियंस आर्मी मूव्ड, तो नेपोलियन जस्ट यू कैन से ऑब्लिटरेटेड or destroyed the old institutions. So he prepared the way for the rise of new institutions, you can say. So Napoleon infused a dynamic force in Europe. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the factors prepared the. Aarti, your question has been replied. You have asked me the question. If you might have observed this diagram with proper attention, your question is already answered by the diagram. Why did Europe move for industrialization? The background was being prepared since the last 3 to 4 centuries. Mr. Ankur asked my students, are they clear about this diagram or any difficulty? Please, my students, give some clue. Give some clue.
Yes.
Okay. No. Industrial Revolution in Britain. Why did the Industrial Revolution start in Britain alone? Up here, my students, you might have here there. देखो. Of why it did in Britain. You might have gone through my study material here. I am giving you the short clue. Why Industrial Revolution in Britain? In short title, in Britain. My students, in order to make you clear, I am doing one thing. Creation of internal market, one factor. Creation of internal market. Without it, it was not possible. How many factors are working behind the creation of, you can say, internal market? As the point that is in the point, major point. So at the point Roman 1, you can here mention one thing, already calling the political integration. Political integration. Where will you find the point like political integration? You can find the point of political integration because it was the time the England, Scotland, Wales, all were combined together in 17th century. So all were combined together. So it led to the integration of you can say the political integration of Britain. A political integration means that they are not different custom duties. The different sorts of duties would not be imposed in different regions. There would be the level playing field in the fixation of duties. तो that is beneficial for trade and commerce. अगर इंटीग्रेशन होता है रीजन्स का तो ट्रेड एंड कॉमर्स को इससे फायदा मिलता है. तो ये तो जो ब्रिटेन का राजनीतिक एकीकरण हुआ जिसमें स्कॉटलैंड आ गया, वेल्स आ गया, उसका फायदा इंटरनली मिल रहा है. दूसरा इसमें हो रहा, यू नो, एग्रेरियन रिफॉर्म्स. अब एग्रेरियन रिफॉर्म से दो चीज तो आ गई, आप देख रहे हो. एग्रेरियन रिफॉर्म से एक चीज आ गई, ग्रोथ इन पॉपुलेशन, बेटर अवेलेबिलिटी ऑफ फूड्स. तो ग्रोथ इन पॉपुलेशन, you might have found in my study material कि even the breeds of the animals were improved. So the larger quantity of mutton, animal flesh was available for foods. So better food availability could lead to growth in population. अब कहोगे भाई ग्रोथ इन पॉपुलेशन काफी होता है क्या? नहीं, ग्रोथ इन पॉपुलेशन खुद मार्केट क्रिएट नहीं करता है. सो फार एज इफ द पॉपुलेशन इज नॉट हैविंग द परचेजिंग पावर. So population is supposed to have the purchasing power, and if it is having the proper purchasing power, then there would be the expansion of the market. So then you can say banking and chambers of commerce. Chambers of commerce. Banking and chambers of commerce. So what will they do? They will create the purchasing power among the people. They will provide the better credit facilities. So they could create the situation of better purchasing power. मतलब लोगों में क्रय शक्ति पहले से बेहतर होगी, लोगों में परचेजिंग पावर होगा, क्योंकि बैंकिंग, चैम्बर्स ऑफ कॉमर्स ये सब काम करेगा. इवन करेंसी सिस्टम में भी इंप्रूवमेंट होगा. करेंसी सिस्टम इसमें भी इंप्रूवमेंट होगा. तो ये तुम्हारा रोमन 1, रोमन 2, रोमन 3. अब रोमन 4 देखो. रोमन 4 में कंस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ concrete roads and canals. कंस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ कंक्रीट रोड्स एंड कैनाल्स। अब ये जो होगा कैनाल्स, अब कैनाल्स वेयर एक्चुअली एट दैट टाइम canals were or the waterways were the very cheaper means for transportation at that time, very cheaper means. And earlier you can say there was the road type of roads which were difficult to ply over, but now with the you can say construction of the concrete roads, it is relatively easy to ply on the road. So that is beneficial for trade and commerce, canals. So canals were consciously built, and through canals you can say the mining site were directly linked to the factory site. So it was going to provide the cheap transportation means. So that will be beneficial for investors, ये जो जितना है अब कैनाल डायरेक्ट जहां पर खनन होता है, खनन क्षेत्र को डायरेक्ट फैक्ट्री साइट से जोड़ देगा। अब बहुत चिप साधन होता है ट्रांसपोर्टेशन का, कंक्रीट रोड्स बन गया। ये 4 के 4 फैक्टर्स क्या कर रहे हैं, इंटरनल मार्केट क्रिएट कर रहे हैं, और इंटरनल मार्केट सबसे पहले आवश्यकता होती है। अब दूसरा है एक्सटर्नल मार्केट। अब एक्सटर्नल मार्केट यू कैन से हाउ तो कॉलोनियल एक्सपेंशन, तो ऑलरेडी है कॉलोनियल एक्सपेंशन इन इंडिया, अदर पार्ट्स ऑफ एशिया, in parts of Africa, and Latin America। तो अब देखिए इतनी जगह बड़ी कॉलोनी फैली हुई है, तो इससे 2 फायदा हो रहा है, रॉ मटेरियल्स भी आ रहा है और अपना जो मैन्युफैक्चर्ड प्रोडक्ट्स है वो भी कंज्यूम हो रहा है। एंड वन इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग, इवन द colonies were supplying the capital. Here you will cite the example of India I have mentioned about. You will come to know कि it is believed कि normally 5% of national capital or national income or national capital of Britain was invested in industrial revolution, and in this capital at least 2%, as the historian Bipin Chandra believes कि 2% capital might have been supplied by India। तो ये एक्सटर्नल मार्केट भी बहुत बड़ा काम कर रहा है। सॉरी, इसको हम रोमन क्यों दिए, इसको मेजर पॉइंट है, 2 मेजर पॉइंट। देन थर्ड पॉइंट इज इन पॉइंट नंबर 1 4 माइनर पॉइंट्स, पॉइंट नंबर 2, पॉइंट नंबर 3। इन पॉइंट नंबर 3 यू कैन से दैट इज पॉइंट नंबर 3 इज whenever conflict between commercial capital and industrial capital, conflict in interest between the interest of commercial capitalism or commercial capital, industrial capital, commercial capitalism and industrial capitalism, the government favored industrial capitalism. Do you understand this point or not? Actually, I am making you clear. Are we recalling 1830 East India Company? East India Company was representing the interest of commercial capitalism, and East India Company had continued to maintain the trade monopoly over India or the eastern trade since 1600 onwards. since the last 213 years, you can say. A pretty good time. But it could not be maintained. Wherever there is the conflict in the interest of with the industrial capitalism, when there was the rise of the capitalist class in London, Manchester, Glasgow, Birmingham, and they demanded, I have taught you in modern history, they demanded the opening of Indian market for British manufactured goods. So my students, you can very well recall the fact that on the basis of the Charter Act of 1813, the trade monopoly of East India Company was abolished immediately. This was the case. You will come to know. And in this way, so it was a success. But my students, point number 4, technological factor. Without technological factor, you can say industrial revolution was not possible. So you people are supposed to learn certain technology at that time, which were invented in Britain. Why? There was the scarcity of labor. So in order to compensate the scarcity of labor, the new technology came into existence in order to compensate the scarcity of labor. Here you can see technological development. अब technological development, flying shuttle, देखो, अब here I am making clear. Technological development prepared the way for the rise of the modern factory system in Britain. One can underline upgradation in the following fields of technology in Britain: cotton goods, iron industry, railways, and steam engine. Cotton goods, iron industry, railways, and steam engine. These are the 4 major fields where the technological upgradation were clearly visible. The new technologies have support to production of cotton. For example, a spinning jenny of Hargreaves, water frame of Arkwright. A spinning jenny of Hargreaves, 1, water frame of Arkwright, and mule of Crompton multiplied the production of yarns. Yarns मतलब धागा. ये जो मैंने टेक्नोलॉजी कहा, इससे क्या होगा? स्पिनिंग बढ़िया होगी, धागे का निर्माण होगा तेजी से. अब धागे का निर्माण होगा, स्पिनिंग विल बी देयर, सो यू विल नीड टू वीविंग साइमल्टेनियसली. द वीविंग शुड मैच द स्पिनिंग. अब बहुत सारा स्पिनिंग हो गया, धागे बन गए, लेकिन कपड़े कैसे बनेंगे? तो उसके लिए फिर वीविंग चाहिए, तो उसके लिए अलग टेक्नोलॉजी देखो. Finally, it was the power loom of Edmund Cartwright which completed the technological advancement in cotton goods industries. अब ये जो कार्टराइट का जो पावर लूम बना, उससे लूम से क्या होगा कि तेजी से अब वीविंग होगी, मतलब कपड़े बनने लगेंगे. अब जो अब्राहम डर्बी है, वो पूरा फैमिली ऑफ अब्राहम डर्बी मेड अ मेजर कंट्रीब्यूशन टू द डेवलपमेंट ऑफ क्या है? आयरन स्मेल्टिंग. आयरन स्मेल्टिंग मतलब आयरन को गलाने की पद्धति का विकास अब्राहम डर्बी का फैमिली कर रहा. और द डेवलपमेंट ऑफ स्टीम इंजन ब्रॉट अ मोमेंटम इन प्रोडक्शन एंड इट ऑल्सो जेम्स वॉट यू हैव हर्ड अबाउट. अब सो मेनी टेक्नोलॉजी इट डिपेंड ओवर कि हाउ मच यू कैन राइट. In Britain, one special factor was the wider social acceptance of these new technologies. For example, it has been said that in Britain, power loom was succeeded as it was artisans who accepted this. But in France, it didn't get easy acceptance as it was imposed from above. You know, from above by the government. अब by the government here you can say, देखो ये बहुत एक टेक्निकल चीज है. टेक्निकल चीज ये है कि सिर्फ टेक्नोलॉजी अपने आप में पर्याप्त नहीं होता. अब यू कैन साइट द एग्जांपल ऑफ इंडिया. देयर वाज द innovation in the field of agriculture and there was the introduction of the new technologies in India in the field of agriculture in post-independence era in 1960s and 1970s. But the peasants of Punjab and Haryana enthusiastically accepted the technologies. But the peasants of Bihar, UP and in cow belt in central India, MP, so they didn't show the same enthusiasm in accepting the new technologies due to their social conservatism, because it is, after all, you can say cow belt, So due to the social conservatism, the peasants of Bihar, UP and MP didn't accept these technologies so enthusiastically. So likewise, the new technologies came into offing. So the British society was an open society. So weavers enthusiastically accepted them. But in case of France, you can say that French society didn't accept technologies so enthusiastically. It was one of the reasons why did such technologies did not get acceptance in France. Social change. In social change, you can see I have just written here. We have point number 5. Point number 5 you can mention the social change. So in social change, suppose in short you have to write somewhere, so I am giving you the clue. You can see .4 creation of internal market, arrow, second one. External market, technological factor, social change. Now you are supposed to mention simply the 4 factors, but creation of internal market is having sub points. So up in precisely you have to give sub points. My friends, I am just a bit, you can say, a bit curious. So I have to ask you the question: have you ever done the word précis writing? Have you done in your life previously? Have you done the précis writing either in your school days or college days, anywhere? I am just a bit curious. So please inform Mr. Ankur so that I will come to know. Have you done the précis writing ever in your life? आपने कभी précis writing किया है?
Maximum, yes.
Okay, good. If you have done the précis writing, so you are supposed to, you can say, manage the size of the question. Then sometime you have to, you can say, extend the length. Sometime you have to make the length very precise. So it depends over what is the size of the question. So the method you have adopted earlier in précis writing, the same method is applicable here in question writing. Now you come to know impact of industrial revolution. Normally in the impact I have mentioned only 2 impact on Britain. One impact is the impact that is called, that was on the mental status of the people, or you can say on the culture of the people. In what way? The culture. So earlier you can say the people were normally, they were contented with in their life with the less availability of goods. But now this industrial revolution could produce a strong sense of consumerism, too much craving for material goods. So that led to decline in human compassion and thirst for luxury in life. ये बहुत बड़ा कल्चरल ट्रेट में चेंज है. तो अब अभी भी आप एक चीज अपने डे टू डे लाइफ में आप देखोगे, जो सोसाइटी जितना ही एडवांस्ड रहेगी उसमें लोग एक दूसरे से उतना ही कम मतलब रखते हैं और लगता है कि दूसरे का पेन देख के उनको कुछ खास होता नहीं। लेकिन तुम अभी भी बैकवर्ड सोसाइटी में जो पिछड़ा हुआ है, जहां उतना डेवलपमेंट नहीं हुआ है, वहां पर आप जाइए, जो सोसाइटी अभी चाहे रूरल सोसाइटी जो एक बैकवर्ड रूरल एरियाज है, वहां लोगों में ब्रदरहुड का सेंस ज्यादा स्ट्रांग होता है, एक दूसरे को हेल्प करने के लिए थोड़ा सा इंथुसियाज्म रहते, एक दूसरे के लिए सेक्रीफाइस भी करते हैं। जितना एडवांस सोसाइटी होगा, लोग इतने अपने कंज्यूमर गुड्स में मस्त हो जाते हैं, फिर एक दूसरे के लिए कोई केयर नहीं रह जाता। सो देयर वाज द डिक्लाइन ऑफ ह्यूमन कंपैशन and there was the more and more craving for material goods. So it was the essential impact of the industrial revolution that was going to change the character. And the second one factor you can say, the industrialization in Britain to a greater extent solved the problem of production but complicated the problem of distribution. It encouraged a sharp division in society, increasing the gap between the rich and the poor. The peasants were thrown out of the agriculture. मतलब acute social division you can say, agriculture, and they were compelled to immigrate to towns. Actually what happened, अब peasants के साथ वहां क्या हुआ, मैं एक घटना बताता हूं, बी मेंटली अलर्ट। देखो, earlier you can say there was a village, तो विलेज में क्या था कि बहुत सारा बेकार लैंड बिल्कुल पड़ा रहता था, बिकॉज लैंडलॉर्ड वे आर नॉट इंथुजियास्टिक अबाउट देयर लैंड, बिकॉज दे बिलीव दैट कि द लैंड इज नॉट सो प्रोडक्टिव एंड it is very difficult to do the cultivation, you know. So landlords were not initially just, you can say, enthusiastic about cultivating the land. So land was just, you can say, lying fallow. So peasants used to gather every year and they used to divide the land among themselves and they are doing cultivation, you know, doing agriculture. मतलब जो किसान साल में एक बार जो पेजेंट्स हो इकट्ठे होते थे और अपने विलेज लैंड को बांट लेते थे कि तुम इधर करो यार, हम इधर करते हैं, हम इधर करते हैं, सबका ही हो जाता था। लेकिन क्या हुआ बाद में कि इन 17th सेंचुरी पर्टिकुलरली यू कैन से, तुम ब्रिटेन में सुनोगे एक एग्रेरियन रेवोल्यूशन हुआ, उसको दैट इज कॉल्ड एग्रेरियन रेवोल्यूशन। जैसे आपका क्लास 9th की एनसीईआरटी है, सारा कुछ तो नहीं पढ़ना, इफ अगर इसके बारे में थोड़ा आप जानना चाहते हो and enthusiastically, तो in new NCERT in class 9th, new NCERT in world history, you know, so there is one chapter, peasants and tillers or tenants, peasants and tillers, possibly these are the title. So go through this chapter. I think 5 to 7 pages are there, and this will inform you about how the agrarian reforms were going on. Actually the landlords, so actually what happened here, I have to inform you, in fact there was the land was earlier, you can say, left fallow, so the land was uncultivated, land was lying there without any use. But gradually you come to know that the landlords became conscious, because in 17th century there was, the grains were going to be costly and even the different industrial products were going to be costly, for example cotton, for example woolen. So landlords now started to enclose their land and disallowed the peasants to enclose their land. So that is called enclosure movement, कि they were enclosing their land, मतलब उसको बाड़ेबंदी आप लोग सुनते हो, बाड़ेबंदी, they were enclosing their land so that there should not be the outside intervention and the peasants should not trespass in their land. अब बताइए, जो पेजेंट्स उसी लैंड पर जीते थे, फैलो लैंड पर, अब दीज पेजेंट्स वेर डिप्राइव्ड फ्रॉम द लैंड, सो दे वेर जस्ट, यू कैन से, seeking, they were just, you can say, thrown into a state of hunger and acute poverty, you know. अब देखिए, जब इनक्लोज अपने लैंड को कर रहे थे और उस लैंड में वो क्या कर रहे थे, प्रोडक्टिव एग्रीकल्चर, फॉर एग्जाम्पल production of cotton, they were taming the sheep and they were, you can say, producing woolen products. So in this way you can say that they were doing the commercial farming and peasants were deprived from the land through encroaching the land, you know. तो इसको कहते हैं, ब्रिटेन की हिस्ट्री में 17th सेंचुरी में आपको मिलेगा इनक्लोजर मूवमेंट, दैट इज कॉल्ड इनक्लोजर मूवमेंट। अब माय स्टूडेंट्स, यू पीपल हैव टू थिंक वेदर दिस मूवमेंट वाज इगैलिटेरियन और इनइगैलिटेरियन, मतलब ये जो मूवमेंट था ये न्यायशील था, उचित था या अनुचित था। तो एक तरह से अगर पेजेंट्स पॉइंट्स ऑफ व्यू से देखेंगे तो उनके लिए तो हंगर और पॉवर्टी थी। तो एक तरह से ये आप कह सकते हो कि बेसिकली इट वॉज विदाउट इक्विटी, देयर वॉज नो स्कोप फॉर सोशल इक्विटी है। तो सबसे आपको आश्चर्य होगा कि गवर्नमेंट थ्रू लेजिस्लेशन सपोर्टेड इंक्लूजन मूवमेंट, यानी गवर्नमेंट फेवर्ड लैंडलॉर्ड्स एट द कॉस्ट ऑफ पेजेंट्स। तो माय स्टूडेंट्स, अब जो लैंडलॉर्ड्स हैड टू प्रोड्यूस द ग्रेन्स, the costly grains as well as the industrial products, so that would lead to the growing raw materials in Britain. So then what would happen to the peasants then? They were deprived from their land. So as the industrialization was going on in towns, so the peasants were migrated to towns, So the land was, they were just ejected from their land and they're moving to towns and they're getting job in factory. So in this way they were being absorbed. तो अब देखो माय स्टूडेंट्स, अब इन टाउन्स दे आर जस्ट मूविंग, तो दे आर uprooted from their root, uprooted from their own place. They were moving there, and as initially the industrialist class had to maximize their profit, and they were just, you can say, lacking in resources for investing in their factory, so they didn't give justice to the peasants. Sorry, they didn't do justice to their labor. They were giving the very meager salary. The duration of the working hour was the very, you can say, long, up to 16 hours. Even the children, the kids and the women are not spared. And in very unhealthy condition they had to work. The very poor infrastructure in towns. So in London, Manchester, the life expectancy of workers was simply 17 years. Because you can see, up you can see in the factory the lower chimneys, smoke was coming out from chimneys. They were inhaling the smoke, so that were resulting into either the disease in their lungs or the tuberculosis, etc. So they started to die young age, but government didn't take care of them. Government took care of them later, when some humanitarian thinkers created pressure over the government. Then government legislated finally in 19th century, but in throughout the whole process the government favored the landlord class and industrial work, and you can say the industrialist class. तो गवर्नमेंट रिच को फेवर करती रह रही। तो मैं एक बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग बात बताता हूँ इकोनॉमिक्स में, कि हमारे एक अरविंद पानगररिया करके इकोनॉमिस्ट हैं, तो उन्होंने एक टर्म का यूज किया, डेमोक्रेटिक कॉस्ट। तो अब हम लोग जो इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन शुरू किया तब तक डेमोक्रेसी आ गई थी। तो डेमोक्रेसी में आप पुअर के साथ इनजस्टिस नहीं कर सकते हो, आपको ग्रोथ के साथ इक्विटी भी लानी पड़ेगी। इन लोगों को इक्विटी का प्रॉब्लम नहीं था, तो ग्रोथ करते चले गए, तो आगे निकल गए। और हम लोगों को ग्रोथ के साथ इक्विटी भी करनी पड़ती है। डू यू अंडरस्टैंड माई पॉइंट और नॉट? अंकुर, आस्क माई स्टूडेंट्स, आर दे क्लियर कि व्हाई डिड ब्रिटेन मूव in the way of on the path of industrialization, My students, please give me the hint.
Yes.
Okay. So here I am just informing you to increasing urbanization, desolation of villages. In the decline in human compassion, and there was also a natural reaction against the increasing urbanization, desolation of villages, devastation of nature. What you know is, just 1 minute, my students, just 1 minute, I am coming. Sorry for interruption, just continue. So here I have again increasing urbanization, desolation of villages, devastation to nature and increasing sensitivity. Moreover, a section of intellectuals was also showing their attraction towards the pre-industrial revolution situation. अब देखो, actually there was the devastation of nature. So in fact you will find this is inherent in human nature. Inherent in human nature, you are moving on the path of the growth, and then you are losing your past. So you feel nostalgic for your past. So at that time, the thinkers and poets, they were just thinking about the village life, which was desolate now. Actually, my friends, hard times, Thomas Hardy. Thomas Hardy, he was basically, sorry, Charles Dickens. Charles Dickens wrote a novel, Hard Times. And what was the filthy condition at London as the result of industrialization? So that was portrayed. You might have heard about a lot of you can say many romantic poets like Wordsworth, William Wordsworth, you can say John Keats, P.B. Shelley, etc. So they just, you can say, shedded tears on the devastation of nature. The Wordsworth wrote, "The world is too much with us. Now we have turned to be too much materialistic, you know." I am recalling in my graduation days, I used to go through a prose piece by Thomas Stevenson. He was a prose writer. So he has written over the impact of industrial revolution and about the pathetic condition of filthy condition of London as the result of industrialization. So surprisingly, he wrote in a very, you can say, poetic manner, "I am dull, I am being dulled in the dulling down of London dullness." So this was the statement given by Thomas Stevenson. तो मैं आपको बताना चाहता कि उस समय जो नेचर जिस तरह से डिवास्टेट हो रहा था, प्रकृति उजड़ रही थी, गांव उजड़ रहे थे, नगर बस रहे थे, तो कुछ लोग बहुत नॉस्टैल्जिया फील कर रहे थे. उनको लग रहा था कि भाई एक दुनिया हमारा, द वर्ल्ड इज अपसाइड डाउन, अब एक हम दुनिया लूज कर रहे हैं, वो दुनिया हमारी छूट रही है. तो ये चीजें जो है वो contemporary poets के द्वारा that was being expressed by contemporary poets, you can say. So Charles Dickens and then Hard Times, you know. Up here you have to observe the expansion of industrialization in other countries. Expansion of industrialization, that is in Britain, you know. So later I will deal with the question. After doing the industrial revolution, then I will deal with the question ki I'm giving a homework to you first, otherwise I will forget. Just where is my pen? Okay, yes. Just write a question. The background for industrial revolution in Europe was prepared by the background for industrial revolution in Europe was prepared by the background for industrial revolution in Europe was prepared by the changes Europe had undergone since 3 to 4 centuries. 3 to 4 centuries. Means the background for industrial revolution in Europe was prepared by the changes which had Europe had undergone since 3 to 4 centuries. Comment. My students, here you are supposed to write out the background. The diagram is telling. The diagram is indicative of the change. So this is the point here, you know. And Mr. Ankur asked my students, will they write this question? Will you answer this question? Okay. Good, my students. Very good. Now, actually, you are just moving to the other issue, you know. This expansion of industrialization in other countries. A very interesting thing is that, first thing, Britain. Actually, why did industrialization occur in Britain? So the previous points are clear. Surprisingly, you can say that so far as the commercial revolution is concerned, you are well aware of the fact that earlier in commercial revolution, Portugal and Spain were the leading countries which searched the new colonies you are just observing. Then the race was joined by the British, Dutch and French all. So the 5 European powers were in the race for colonies, you know, and they were expanding their commerce and there you can say commercial capitalism in the vast swaths of the world. But why did Britain alone move for industrialization? So for that, the condition in Britain was accountable, which I have discussed with you. But now, once the Britain invented industrialization, it was invented in southern Britain, you know. So once the industrialization occurred in Britain, so in Britain, this industrialization was unplanned. Britain was not planned it, you know. But other countries now started to follow Britain. And one interesting thing is that if industrialization is going on in one country, it causes deindustrialization in other. मतलब अगर एक देश में औद्योगिकरण होता है तो दूसरे देशों के उद्योगों को क्षति पहुंचती है, क्योंकि अब जिसका औद्योगिकरण हो चुका उसका प्रोडक्ट तो सस्ता हो जाता है और दूसरे देश का महंगा हो जाता है. तो इसलिए क्या होता है कि जिस समय आपके यहाँ इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन होगा तो आपके नेबरहुड में इंडस्ट्रीज डिक्लाइन करना शुरू होगा. तो बाकी देशों की भी मजबूरी है कि इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन उनको भी करना पड़ा और लोग लेट ज्वाइनर थे और तो उनके यहाँ इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन प्लान्ड था. उन लोग सभी ने अपना अपना अलग तरीका अपनाया क्योंकि ब्रिटिश तरीके से आगे बढ़ते तो ऑलरेडी 50 years पीछे हो चुके थे. So they could not follow the method of Britain. So that's why you find in Britain and Western Europe, you find the one model of industrialization, but USA adopted another slightly different model. Germany, slightly different model. Russians, slightly different model, and Japanese also adopted the different model. So now I have to discuss about the different model of industrialization in the next one class. But my friends, I have to make a short announcement. Actually, next class, prelims in Sunday, the prelims examination is being held, or after that I have to go somewhere on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday or Thursday. So I will resume your class on the next Friday alone, on that Friday in the next week. So I will take, you can say, some holidays. I am seeking for holidays from you people. So you have to do the work, and I'll just in the next class I'll appear. I will provide you the study material after that on the one day, or no, after the one on the after finishing this topic on Saturday, next Saturday I'll provide you the study material. Probably if I will estimate, I am a bit confused on Monday or Tuesday. So if I will not take class till the Friday, but if possible, so I will just try to conduct the question answer discussion either on Monday or on Friday. तो लेकिन जो क्लासेस हैं वो मंडे, ट्यूसडे, वेडनेसडे और थर्सडे नहीं हो पाएगा. तो इसलिए मैं स्टूडेंट्स आई एम सीकिंग पार्डन. सो आई एम सीकिंग अ स्लाइटली लॉन्ग हॉलीडे फ्रॉम यू पीपल. Thank you very much. I will now see you in the next one, and you have to keep it on. In Churchillian word, keep buggering on. Okay, thank you very much. Good night.
Word limit bata.
Word limit 150 words. In this question, 150 words. You are supposed to write in 150 words.